Pleased to be here at the launch of this collaborative effort to hold this timely workshop, Democracy, Journalism, and Responsibility, Expectations for an Informed Society, and to bring it to Guyana. As you all know, we have been speaking out on behalf of media freedom, but the other half of media freedom is, of course, media responsibility and professionalism and effectiveness. And so I'm delighted that today we're able to focus. This partnership, as was mentioned, is a university partnership between Ohio University and the University of Guyana. And it is not the first partnership we've had, and it certainly will not be the last. And I think it's one of the great things, although the United States was involved very much at the outset of this partnership through USAID, this is a partnership which has grown its own roots and has really taken off and is now proceeding even without our direct support in many areas. But the partnerships have benefited the students, faculty, and I think public education both in Guyana and in the United States. And while OU and UG will be branching out into new fields and new areas of study, which will include health and medicine, the fine arts, and social sciences, this relationship between the Center for Communication Studies and the Scripps School of Journalism is the first and certainly the most enduring of these valuable partnerships. Our embassy welcomes and encourages collaboration and alliances between U.S. and Guyanese universities because these relationships enhance mutual understanding between our countries and they build ever closer people-to-people relationships. This allows us to work together more closely to address common challenges, including citizen security, economic opportunity, social inclusion, and environmental responsibility. This week's workshop focuses on the development and professionalization of the press corps. Professionalization contributes to building a more effective and more independent media while improving standards in collecting, reporting, editing, and disseminating objective and balanced information. Such professional training encourages reporting that encompasses many different facets of issues and ideas and improves standards for reporters and editors to make the information that they present more balanced and objective. As we all recognize, the media play an indispensable role in building a democratic society. The press fosters active public debate and serves as a forum to express different points of view, particularly on behalf of those who are marginalized in society. It serves a crucial function in being one of the few institutions capable of promoting vigilance against abuses of the law and of government authority. It does this through investigative journalism by raising the transparency of judicial, legislative, and administrative proceedings, by its access to public officials and public documents, and most importantly, by its ability to translate this access into clear, coherent, accessible, and interesting reporting. Unfortunately, the press is often a target of retaliation or restrictions by those who feel threatened by freedom of expression and transparency in democratic processes. Journalists are often the first to uncover corruption, to report from the front lines of conflict zones, and to highlight missteps by governments. Because of their work, many journalists around the world face not only physical danger, but other attempts to silence their voices, such as legal intimidation and threats to their livelihood. It is the duty of governments and citizens worldwide to speak out for the protection of journalists and also to protect their vital role in uncovering the truth in open societies, and especially in those societies which are a little less open. The United States, despite our own imperfections in this area, remains a persistent advocate for the freedom of expression. We continue to raise media freedom issues in bilateral discussions with other governments as well as in multilateral bodies throughout the world. Our embassy here in Guyana actively supports initiatives to strengthen journalistic ethics, to build media capacity, and to encourage professionalization for the press corps. And this workshop is the latest example of our long-standing engagement with the media in Guyana. In October 2011, for example, we organized two programs for media and journalism. The first, USAID, worked with the University of Guyana's Center for Communication Studies and GCOM, the Elections Commission, to hold a two-day training on the Media Code of Conduct in the run-up to the 2011 general elections. Participants included media owners, editors, and journalists from all the major print, audio and visual, and internet-based media. Over 50 media owners and practitioners ultimately signed the Media Code of Conduct, and most have ever done so. At the same time, our embassy's Public Affairs Office hosted a professor from Washington and Lee University as part of a speaker program to offer basic journalism training to aspiring journalists. Professor Smith worked with over 90 students at the university and also led workshops on journalism for entry-level reporters. The participants in that program were able to improve their ability to accurately and objectively report news and events in order to better inform the public and strengthen accountability for public figures. Our embassy also frequently sponsors exchanges specifically for journalists so that they can share experiences and challenges with other journalists from around the world and to learn more about the U.S. media environment. Last year, the Public Affairs section sponsored 2 Staubach News reporters to participate in our Foreign Press Center tours in the U.S. One was on women's empowerment, which focused on the theme of combating gender-based violence and empowering women. The other was on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender issues in the United States. And journalists had a chance to hear from key stakeholders across the political spectrum and to learn about the positive inroads that LGBT Americans have made in government, politics, media, and in education. We also sent a member of the Guyanese media on a media literacy-themed international visitor leadership program, which highlighted the scope of new media and social networking tools and how they can be used to promote citizen rights and responsibilities. We look forward to hosting more exchanges for members of the press corps, hopefully some of you in the future, in order to enhance contacts and professional journalism, to strengthen the development of the media here in Guyana, and to promote accurate, fair, and responsible reporting. The United States always encourages networking with international journalism associations and institutions that can enhance professionalism with workshops, program support, and technical assistance. We are very fortunate to have with us this week 2 extremely accomplished media experts who have traveled long and far to share with us their vast knowledge and experience as media practitioners and as academic media experts. And I had a chance this morning to meet both with Professor Caliango and Mr. Alexander. And we really are very fortunate to have people who together have reported from so many different places in the world over such an extensive period of time and really bring to our task this week invaluable experience on the front lines of conflicts, dealing with corruption in various countries, reporting on HIV/AIDS, on environmental issues, and I will let them get into it, but they really are extraordinary journalists who have brought their knowledge to share with us this week. So I'm sure that you will all benefit tremendously from the conversation and the dialogue that you will have throughout the week. American business magnate, investor, and philanthropist Warren Buffett once said that the smarter the journalists are, the better off society is. For to a degree, people read the press to inform themselves, and the better the teacher, the better the student body. And I think in this context, we have some great teachers this week, and so hopefully the student body will reflect that, and we will have better informed populace here in Guyana. It's also been said by Walter Lippmann, a famous American journalist, that a newspaper is in all literalness the Bible of democracy, the book out of which a people determines its conduct. It is the only serious book that most people read, and it is the only book they read every day. So in that context, and with that in mind, I wish you a very informative and productive week of training. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Hart. Important responsibilities of what I call the secular prophets, first to let us know what will happen and what is happening. And sometimes I read with horror the way the University of Guyana, particularly the senior officials, are demonized in the press. But among all that they say, in our midst we also have some very, very angelic people. One of whom is the newly appointed Deputy Vice Chancellor, Mr. Philip De Silva. And I'm sure he has some really good things to say in his brief remarks. Let me welcome Mr. Philip De Silva, BBC University of Guyana.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols having been observed, I stand to give some brief remarks from the University of Guyana. I also would like to indicate that the Vice Chancellor would have liked to be here this afternoon, but unfortunately he's away on the university's business. Now, the Center for Communication Study at the University of Guyana is cognizant of its role in facilitating training and education to enhance the knowledge and sharpen the skills of journalists in Guyana. Further, this journalism training workshop on democracy, journalism, and responsibility, expectations for an informed society, is based on this recognition that media education remains a vital element of any democracy. Journalists do more than keep us informed. In a democratic society, journalism enables us to have our voices heard and makes it possible for us to monitor the factors that shape our lives. In the past few decades, the ability of the journalists in a free society has been made more vital and more difficult by the revolution in communication technology. The internet has apparently torn down many fences. The world of cyberspace is filled with many views of reality, many of them designed to distract us or to control and dictate our public behavior rather than inform our independent public judgment. This new competition requires a new journalism to assure that the view of the world in which we live is one constructed with the integrity and reliability self-government requires. Once one decides to become a journalist, one makes a conscious decision to accept personal responsibility for the credibility of one's work and to serve the interests of the consumer of this information. As journalists, this is possible only if you are fully committed and fully understand how communication systems work. Given this fact, I dare say that because of the importance of the journalist's work to others in the community, to become a journalist is an act of character. An act built on the authority, honesty, and judgment of the people. When people decide what news to buy, or what news to watch on the television, or what magazine to purchase, they are making a decision about the judgment, the character, and the values of the journalists who produced that news item. As one author wrote, a free press is absolutely vital. Freedom of the press is not a luxury, it is not an extra. It is absolutely at the core of equitable development. Too often the public's interest is ignored in favor of personal bias. When this happens, the role of the journalist in a democratic society is challenged. Challenges which left unaddressed can destroy the vital link between the people and its press on which democracy depends. Journalists can meet this new challenge only by applying each individual's own enduring values. Bill Kovac in 2005 said, "At all times, journalists must retain and practice the fundamental idea of transparency. Never deceive your audience. Tell them what you know and what you don't know. Tell them who your sources are, and if you can't name the sources, tell them how the sources are in a position to know and what biases, if any, they may have. In other words, provide your information so that people see how it was developed and can make up their own minds about what to think. And be sure that transparency lets the public see you have kept an open mind Open not only about what you hear, but about your ability to understand. Some call this humility, and some call it open-mindedness. Don't assume. You always need to remember that every day you go to work, to let the public know that you know, it is because of the special role a journalist plays in our society. And never forget that you have a very special responsibility. In closing, I quote again, "Freedom and democracy depend upon individuals who refuse to give up their belief that the free flow of timely, truthful information is what has made freedom, self-government, and human dignity possible." On behalf of the University of Guyana, I wish you a successful deliberation and a very successful training program. Thank you.
Thank you, TVC. Professor Dr. Yusuf Kalyango is an associate professor and director of the Institute of International Journalism in E.W. Scripps School of Journalism, Ohio University, in the United States of America. He heads the government-funded study of U.S. institutes, which we know as SUSI, and journalism at Media Havised University. This multi-gifted and multi-talented scholar and author has spent more than 20 academic articles published in prestigious journals, and two of his major scholarly works include African Media and Democratization, which was done in 2011, which you see here, and read it. And then there's one coming out in January next year called Why Discourse Matters, which among other things discuss why language matters. Dr. Kalyango is the recipient of several international awards, including that for Journalism Excellence by CNN in Atlanta in 2000 and CNN African Journalism Foundation. He currently lectures in the areas of international journalism, broadcast media, and crisis/conflicts. Professor Kalyango relishes probing the depths of international comparative political communication, international crises, and public opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome Dr. Yusuf Kalyango, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Terence Esepong, and I also want to thank the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Mr. Philip De Silva, in the 3.5 days that you're going to be with us. I also want to thank Ambassador Hart and the U.S. government for making this workshop possible. We couldn't have been here without the support of the U.S. Embassy and the U.S. government in essence. Also, thanks to my colleague Caroline Walcott for working with from the University of Guyana for working with the Institute for International Journalism to make this workshop possible. I'm not going to talk about what I'll spend 3.5 days talking about, but I'm going to introduce you very briefly about what we do at Ohio University and why you should take advantage of these in future in case you are interested in further education. The Scripps School of Journalism is very fortunate to be one of the few journalism programs that have a large endowment that enables us to actually branch out in specialized journalism, such as international education and other areas of specialized media. And one of the institutes that administers our global efforts is the Institute for International Journalism, which has been around for about 40 years. but I'm only the 5th director to head the institute. The institute's mission is to prepare students to work as international journalists. We support international internships. We conduct international comparative research that is supported by the institute. We train professionals in the United States, and we also work with global partners such as the University of Guyana to promote and advance global education. One of the main features that we do is foreign correspondence internships. In the last 15 years, we've sent over 400 students, American students, to more than 30 countries around the world to do internships. And we hope that, and we've never sent a student to come and intern in Guyana. So when American institutions, including Ohio University, looks at South America, they think about it in terms of Latin America that speaks Spanish. So we don't actually encourage students to come to Latin America for internships, or South America, so to speak. So moving forward, I think Guyana is going to be central to where we send our students, and I'll be delighted as director of this institute to start sending students to come and interact with you and spend time in your newsrooms. We also do study abroad programs. We run 3 study abroad programs annually. We partially sponsor students to take classes with Ohio University professors in various countries. One of our longest partners is in Leipzig, the University of Leipzig in Germany. We do internship programs in South Asia, in Central Asia. We do one in Africa every year. And we hope that starting from, hopefully next year, we will start doing study abroad programs where we bring on average about 12 to 14 students. And a few weeks ago, I think it's like 3 weeks ago, Ohio University signed an activity agreement in addition to the memorandum of understanding we signed last year to actually start this process of bringing students here as a group to interact with UG students, to spend a month here learning about your culture, learning about your media environment, and spending time with you. We also administer external projects. We do these through the US government. My institute administers 2 federal grants, one through the International Institute, International Institute of Education, IIE, and the other one is through the Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs, which is, and the Start of the US branch gives funds to Ohio University to bring 18 professors from around the world every summer to spend time at Ohio University and to visit various media organizations. And as I'm here, I'll be communicating with some of our incoming class of professors to administer this. So Ohio University is very privileged to administer this program. We also, through my institute, do international training workshops. In the last 6 years as director, I have been to over 22 countries. And of all those countries that I've visited in the last 6 years, we've done about 7 workshops like this one. We've also sponsored conferences. We have a conference that is going to take place in India in November. And hopefully in future, we are going to continue doing these kinds of workshops and trainings here in Guyana. The other thing we also do are global partnerships and cooperation. We work with the World Press Institute, which is based in Minnesota. We work with the International Reporting Project, which is based in Washington, D.C., that sends American editors around the world to train journalists. So one of the things that I'm going to do in future during our meetings at the International Reporting Project is to introduce them to Guyana so that hopefully American editors from the Washington Post and all other news organizations can come and see what you have in Guyana, so that probably Guyana can be on their radar screen as they decide which stories to run from around the world. Because in many cases, this also influences the discourse at the Capitol Hill and in other places within the United States political echelon. We also work with the Pulitzer Center for Crisis Reporting and other international organizations that are non-US from around the world. So in summary, we're very delighted to be here, and the Institute is poised to work with the University of Guyana because of the support we have right from the president of the university to the dean of the college, and of course, having visited here 2 times so far, I think the relationship we are going to have both with the university and with the media organizations will continue to grow. I look forward to spending 3.5 days with you to share with you my experiences from around the world, both as a reporter, as an international correspondent for international organizations, and also as an academic and scholar. I was born in Africa. I was able to go through some of the challenges that you face and endure here in Guyana. I relate to some of your experiences and challenges, and I think I can probably say that I have seen a little bit of success in some of the stuff that I've done. So I look forward to sharing with you some of my challenges and experiences, and to give you a sense of how you can make it within the kind of environment that you work here in Guyana, and how you can relate with the politicians and with the businesses and with the citizens, and blossom to make you a credible professional, and also to make you respected within the in terms of politics and the government. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you starting effective tomorrow. Thank you.
So, thank you, Dr. Kaliango, for giving us hope that the profile of our, not just our country, but particularly the field of journalism will be enhanced, and we all look forward to that. OU graduate, worked for the Melbourne Herald, Washington Post, serving in several capacities at the latter. He has served on many boards, with interest particularly in the field of journalism, especially in the areas of freedom of information, protection of journalists against attacks, harassment, and the rest. So you need to stick close to him. His sterling contributions to the development of journalism has been recognized, leading 2 years ago to his induction into the Scripps College of Communication Hall of Fame, and becoming the recipient of the OU Alumnus of the Year Award. However, these accolades, achievements, and awards have not diminished his commitment to attorney and consultant Beverly Jones, to whom he has remained married. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Mr. Andy Alexander.
It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm sorry my wife couldn't have heard that. But it's interesting. You probably heard from my biography that I'm a Washington journalist, and I think I'm looking out at a large portion of the Guyana Press Corps here in Georgetown right now. If we were in Washington, the size of the press corps is about 15,000 to 18,000 journalists. I mention that because I think it would be safe to say, with no disrespect, that the journalism profession, certainly in Washington, is more developed than here. But in a way, it's the same. Because despite those thousands of journalists who are working there every day, we all start from the same place. Journalism is about accuracy, about fairness, about independence, and it's also about being very aggressive. It is okay to be confrontational in a professional way with people who hold power. What we're going to discuss over the next couple of days are things about investigative reporting, about the ethics of journalism, about health and medical reporting, about political reporting, and I think that there are some things we can tell you that will stimulate conversation, but I want to emphasize conversation. From my standpoint, the greatest value of these types of seminars is what we get from you in the give and take. At the end of the day, it's all journalism. It all comes down to journalism. We know, for those of you sitting out here, that it is a occasionally messy, chaotic, tiring, complicated endeavor. But as the Vice Chancellor and the Ambassador pointed out so eloquently, it is incredibly important to the development of society, the protection of societies, and people who are less protected in society. And I would also say that it's an enormously satisfying profession. Those of us who have spent our lives in journalism didn't get in it to make a lot of money. We got in it because we either liked the thrill of journalism, we wanted to see the world, or we wanted to right wrongs. And we know that when it's done well, it's a beautiful, gorgeous thing to watch that can actually help society. So I'm very much looking forward to this. I will relay those kind remarks to my wife immediately upon the conclusion of my remarks. But I hope we see a lot of you in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Now to bring the vote of thanks is Ms. Rhonda Hamilton, a lecturer in the Center for Communication Studies, and I'm proud to say one of my former students, Ms. Rhonda Hamilton.
All protocols being observed, I must say a pleasant good afternoon to everyone. The privilege is mine to propose the vote of thanks on this special. On behalf of the Center for Communication Studies, I extend our sincerest gratitude to the pieces of this puzzle whose ardent toil and support have made the commencement of this workshop and the upcoming week's proceedings possible. In expression of our gratitude, I wish to extend our heartfelt thanks to our facilitators, Mr. Andrew Alexander and Professor Yusuf Kalyango, for answering the call and embracing the task of facilitators for this workshop. Mr. Alexander, we are grateful for your enthusiasm and commitment as an advocate for investigative journalism and freedom of information. We are much more grateful that our participants will be able to benefit immensely from your wealth of knowledge and experiences during the course of this workshop. We know that you have made many sacrifices in order to be here with us, and for this, our thankfulness, our small token of our appreciation. Professor Kalyango, grateful we are for your constant bill of support and guidance in collaborating with the Center for Communication Studies in ventures such as these. Your non-hesitant approach and response in agreeing to be part of this event amidst your crowded schedule speaks volume as to your dedication to the development of the field of journalism around the world in areas such as democracy and media management. We therefore value the time you have given us, and I'm sure that our participants will be delighted to hear from you. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Furthermore, I must also mention our deep sense of appreciation to the U.S. Embassy, specifically Tabitha and her hard-working team, for collaborating with the center, giving guidance and support wherever needed, and generally being one of the most instrumental pieces of the puzzle in the realization of this workshop. Your effective planning and bird's eye for details allowed us to ensure that the preparation phase of this workshop flowed according to plans. We salute the steady and continued support of the U.S. Embassy, whose contributions are appreciated and deeply valued. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to the following persons and organizations. To our chairperson, Mr. Esloom, for guiding us smoothly through today's proceedings. To the faculty and support staff of the Center for Communication Studies, thank you for your continued selfless service and for availing yourselves for this week's workshop. To the University of Guyana's administration, thank you for your constant bill of support. To the Institute for International Journalism and the E.W. Scripps School of Journalism, we thank you for releasing Professor Caliango for service in Guyana. To Morehouse Trust, please know that we are most grateful for your provision and preparation of this beautiful venue and the support you have given thus far. To the editors and media proprietors of all the media houses participating in this workshop, we express our sincerest thanks to you because you have released your reporters to be a part of this meaningful event. Your participation is of significant value. To all our distinguished guests and participants, thank you for accepting our invitation for today's ceremony and for your pledge to support in attending this week's workshop. And to Ms. Carolyn Walcott, whose overall coordination and supervision of this event spoke passion and dutiful commitment in making a small plan come alive. Thank you, Ms. Walcott. And once again, I am happy to extend our profound thank you to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. That has brought us to the end of our program this afternoon, but we see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock sharp. Thank you very much.